we have a special portion of the show that I like to call shots.
Okay.
So you can do shots or not, but so rapid fire questions. You don't have to give you can give whatever response you want, but we'll go through. So you ready?
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So there's a saying that everything's bigger in Texas. So let's test the premise here. So you can choose Texas for these answers, or you can just choose other. You don't have to have the exact right answer. So we're gonna grill you here on sizes. So largest state in the United States.
Oh, that's Alaska.
You nailed it. I butchered that one time when I was in high school. We could not figure it out. I saw an interesting map one time where they took Alaska and put it over the continental U.S. And it is damn near as big just as the continental U.S. Like it's.
Yeah, I've been there, and I've been there twice and seen just a tiny part of that. I've told my wife I want to go back here pretty soon. I need to go back up there and fish and do some hiking. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I know. It's one of my dreams is to get up to Alaska. I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely on there. Largest stadium by capacity in the U.S.
Okay, now you're asking sports questions, and you know that this is a guy that has no use for competitive sports whatsoever. So I couldn't even venture a guess at the largest capacity. I honestly can't.
Is Texas or other? You can pick the other, or it's in Texas.
I'll be here in Texas then. Yeah. I guess so. It's Texas.
Oh, it's actually Michigan Stadium, and for the college football team. I guess they've and that's all these are just per the interweb. You know, I did a lot of deep research. I think it holds 107,601 people.
You know that they've expanded Texas A&M football stadium, and it's much bigger, but I couldn't even begin to tell you the capacity of that.
Right. Yeah. And maybe that was after, the whatever internet site that told me this information. State that produces the most oil.
I'd say Texas.
You're right. You would be right. 2 billion barrels a year from Texas.
That's a note that the new book that is coming out next month, The Broken Truth, is about the oil industry and the impact that petroleum has on the world. And some of our characters are talking about our whole world is built on petroleum products, and people don't realize that. And so, that's it. The first novel, the Hard Country, is about how partially is about how your car is listening to you, and about how your phone downloads all your information into cars, and people are tracking us. So, just a little note about the Tucker Snow books.
Right, very good. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting about oil too, because I've told my daughters too when they're like, "Oh, oil." It's like, we wouldn't have sterile medical devices without oil, because that makes the plastic that makes it possible to sterilize these devices and send them everywhere. Glasses, I don't wear on the show, but I wear all day when I'm writing. It's so much goes into it.
We don't eat without oil. The farmers run on diesel. And a lot of the stuff that's made, everything that's made that they use is touched by petroleum products in some way. We can't get away from it. We just have to figure out different ways to use it, and then maybe use it better.
Right. Yeah. Amen. So the state with the most UFO sightings.
That'd be a tough one. Just because we're so big, I'd say Texas. Yeah, I'll have to go with Texas.
Yeah, so it's California. And more than double than any other state. Texas didn't make the top 10.
Well, you guys spent a lot of time looking it up. Maybe that's what it is.
We do a lot of drugs in California. There might be some UFOs out there too, but there's also just a lot of things you see when you look up when you're high on all of the drugs we're doing. So awesome. So moving away from the Texas. So what's the best piece of advice you ever received?
The best piece of advice I ever received: keep your mouth shut and listen. That's probably the best one, and it has served me well over the years.
Amen. Thank you. What's the worst piece of advice you ever received?
Wow. The worst piece of advice. I don't know. There have been some bad ones. I can't nail it down. No, if I had to say anything, it'd be too personal, and I'd probably get in trouble with somebody. I'd like to pass on that one.
Fair enough. the man makes the mustache or the stash makes the man?
Oh, you know what? Yeah. I met Sam Elliott when I was on the set of 1883. And he kind of looked at me and I looked at him. He ducked his head. Nice mustache. Well, thank you. Yours isn't bad either. But, we grow up. I don't know if we hide behind them or not. They attract a lot of attention. But I grew mine way back in probably 80 or 81, and then grew the handlebars about 90. No, I grew those bad. There's a picture of me with my daughter when she was first born, and that was about 87 or 88. So, yeah, I don't know if it makes anything or not, but it gives me a place to hide if I need to.
Very good. What's the strangest thing you've ever encountered / witnessed?
Well, and people are going to think I'm on those drugs you were talking about. And I think that the whiskey's starting to affect me. But I have seen a ghost. In fact, the house we lived in before we moved here had a ghost that we called Casper. And I mean, he became so familiar that we kind of joked about him. I would see him out of the corner of my eyes. One night, my wife and I were watching TV, and a bell rang right behind our heads as if somebody was behind it, went ding, ding, ding. I mean, that close. And nothing was back there, no electronics. It was just, we called him Casper. It was Casper. And so, yeah, that's probably the weirdest thing that people would think I'm nuts. And then when I tell people that I have a ghost in the house, they kind of look at me, how much have you had to drink? Well, usually not enough, but we had a ghost in the house and he did not follow us over here. We have not had any of those sightings or little funny things since we moved over here into this about 4 years ago.
Very good. No, thanks for that. I always like to ask the question because I'm like, maybe I'm doing too much of the California drugs, but I've had whole shows. I don't know if it shows on the camera right now. Actually, here, I can show this on the camera, but I had a guy that studies Bigfoot on the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The famous Patterson footage, kind of Bigfoot there, but UFOs, whatever. I'm so weird. My wife's always like, I always have some random bit of information. I'm not a jack of all trades because you can't even give me the jack, but I know little bits of all kinds of stuff because I'm just so curious about everything all of the time. So like military tech, she's like, where do you know this? I'm like, I don't know. I just look things up.
It just stuck in my head and probably pushed some good information out of the way to stick into my head. Yeah, something that could probably make money on you, but just another way.
Very good. And so final question for our shots portion here. Favorite podcast and why is it Writers Drinking Whiskey?
Well, it is now. Writers were drinking whiskey because it's so much fun. I don't listen to podcasts as a rule. So if I'm on, or if a friend Gilstrap has a podcast that I've looked at, and so those are the favorites for me. But as a rule, I don't watch a whole lot of them. But this one's definitely is on my radar now, and so I'm going to be tuning in every chance I get because I love to hear writers talk about writing. And that's the reason I love to go to writers conferences. I mean, we're going to be at BoucherCon in Nashville next month. I'm on a couple of panels. I don't go to take notes or anything because I've got my mind on the track I want it, but I do go to hang out with authors and to meet new ones, reconnect with old author friends, and just have a good time. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, very good, very good. That was awesome. I'll put a link for what was it called, BoucherCon?
BoucherCon. Yep. Yeah, it's in Nashville. Yeah, at the Grand Ole Opry Hotel.
Oh, very cool. I'll have to check that out one year. My nephew just moved out. He's in the Nashville PD.
Oh, okay.
So he just moved out from Palmdale, California. Maybe 6 months ago now.
Come by and look us up. John and I'll be there.
All right. Yeah. I'll have to tell him. Yeah. But it would be a good excuse for me to go out. I can do the conference, go hang out with my nephew, and Nashville's awesome. I love it.
It moves around every year. Next year's going to be, I think, in New Orleans. It's the biggest writers conference in the country, though. Hundreds of people attend, thousands of people attend, hundreds of authors. And, that's why I tell budding writers, I didn't know about conferences when I was trying to learn this business. Had I known, I probably would have got my first book out, sooner. but you can get out and you can meet the people that you read. You can learn from the people that have done the same things, that made the mistakes that I've had, and I might not have had to make them. So writers' conferences are good for anyone that's looking into getting into this career.
Right, sure. Amen for that. Thanks, everybody, for checking out this clip of Writers Drinking Whiskey. If you'd like to catch the full episode, click the link up here, and please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out our members-only section. Cheers.